He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios at 365 Sports here in beautiful New York City. Welcome on in to what is a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show. You could always get at me on the good old cesspool of Twitter or on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Or you can get at me on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. YouTube.com/at365SportsYT. YouTube.com/at365SportsYT. Make sure you subscribe. Got Garrett Ross back in our Waco, Texas studios, along with Andrew and Logan helping out behind the scenes. And away we go on a very busy Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show extravaganza right here on 365 Sports. I want to start off with a little college football today. And I want to just do 10 talking points that are pressure talking points for this upcoming season in the year of 2026. Let me start in, and I'll do top 10 here. I'll go 10 to 1. In at number 10, this player I was never expecting to discuss because he wasn't designed to start this year, and he's probably going to need 3 or 4 weeks. As his head football coach said, they're most likely going to have him back by week 3. But with the Brendan Sorsby situation playing on out the way that it has, and I think this is going to unfold where Brendan Sorsby is not going to be playing college football this year for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. I believe Sorsby, even if he does not play for Texas Tech has everything right in front of them still, and it's tough to lose your quarterback and the guy that is designed to be your quarterback, but that schedule looks to be so easy peasy. They could still be a 10, 11, or even, should I say it, a 12-win team without Brendan Sorsby. So the person that I shift the pressure to is actually Will Hammond, who's coming off the injury and should be back by week 3. He will be their starting quarterback for the majority of the season this year because I don't think Brendan Sorsby is going to be allowed to play. So there's a ton of pressure on Will Hammond because whether you have Sorsby or not, if you follow college football and if you follow the Red Raiders of Texas Tech, you know that team that Joey McGuire has assembled with the pockets being so deep, they should still be the favorite to go win the Big 12, just like they did a year ago. So Sorsby on the back burner, Hammond now moved to the front burner, and there will be a lot of pressure on him because, Garrett, as you know, Texas Tech last year, it was a remarkable season. Mm-hmm. They won the Big 12. But as we've talked about since I got here to 365 Sports, there's a difference in winning the Big 12 and then showing you're a legitimate national championship contender. And even though outside of the Big 10 and the SEC, because that's where I think the national championship contenders are, like if I tell you, hey, it's not the Big 10 or the SEC, you have more confidence in Miami than you do Texas Tech because Miami got there last year. And then 2 years ago, Notre Dame got there. And I know that Notre Dame has lost Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, but they do return C.J. Carr. And there's still a little lack of belief in Texas Tech where you know Texas Tech is good. You know Texas Tech is very good. But now the question becomes, can they be elite? Can they be great? And if Texas Tech has another year where they win the Big 12 and then they get in the college football playoff and they quickly exit, then people are going to look at Texas Tech, how we kind of looked for Notre Dame for years before they went on that run, where it's, okay, Notre Dame has a good record, or even maybe Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley, right? That's probably a better comparison because in the Big 12, when Oklahoma was there, where Lincoln Riley made the college football playoff in the 4-team format a bunch of times, but when they got there, it was, okay, you got to prove to me that you belong. There's a difference in getting an invite to the dance and then going home with the prom queen. Texas Tech has showed you they got an invite to the dance last year, and they should be able to get another invite to the dance this year, but it doesn't mean that they're going to get lucky on their prom night.
No, it doesn't. But I also think, like, in Tech's scenario, I don't think it's really going to be the quarterback play, whether it's Hammond or more than likely Hammond. I'm with you. I don't think Sorsby plays another down of college football this year. I just don't think that's going to really hinder it. I think, to me, not being able to allocate the funds that you gave Sorsby to come over and not put that towards your defense and replace all the talent that you lost on
Rodriguez,
that side of the
Bailey.
football. Man, there were Lee Hunter, there were so many guys. Cole, I butcher his last name in the secondary. He's gone too. They lost so much talent over there, and not being able to replenish that the way they had that cupboard filled last year is what's going to hurt them and make. I'm with you. I still think regardless who their quarterback is, they should win double digits games in the Big 12 and be playing for the Big 12 championship. But if you're Texas Tech right now, you're past that point. You're past caring about playing for the Big 12 championship. It's about let's make some noise in the playoff, and I just don't think they have the pieces there together, whether it's Hammond or Sorsby, to make a run, kind of like what happened to them last year.
And that's why the pressure is on Hammond.
Yes.
Because from afar, fans, we like to dumb it down. We usually focus on the coach and we focus on the quarterback. Texas Tech didn't get where they got last year because of their quarterback situation. Heck, we saw two quarterbacks at various different points of the season. But you look at Hammond, that's going to be where all the attention's going to be, because the Sorsby situation magnifies it even more, because you get Sorsby coming on in. And we talked about this, Garrett. I think we have overrated Sorsby. I really do. I was, and even Emory Hunt said it, I was surprised that people had a first-round grade on Sorsby.
No, I didn't see a first grade worthy quarterback last year when I watched him. He made some good throws. He did some really good things and had Cincinnati humming at times, but there was inconsistencies there. There are a lot of misses on the long balls down the field. There's just some questionable decision making, and all that stuff can be addressed. That stuff can be fixed, but I don't think that he is a high caliber quarterback heading into the NFL. I think if he would have came out, I mean, he wasn't going to get above Carson Beck, right? And he was the third quarterback taken off the board. He probably.
I don't know. Honestly, I truly do not know. I can't say that emphatically, just because I'm going to just be transparent here. After when we found out where Ty Simpson did go, I didn't give two shits about the rest of every other quarterback. Carson Beck lands with the Cardinals. Drew Aller lands with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've just seen enough of those quarterbacks where I just never thought any of them would have been pro starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. But with the way that some people have been raving about the traits of Sorsby, maybe that would have put him in front of the line of damaged goods of Drew Aller, an up and down college career of Carson Beck, even though Carson Beck made it to the championship game. The Carson Beck that we've unfortunately seen a lot of pop back up on that last drive when he had a chance to go win it and really turn the narrative around. Like against Ole Miss, he put the ball in the end zone, but up against Miami, he made a hellacious interception.
Yeah, no, for me, but watching the game, I feel like Sorsby proved more to me, really the past couple of years, than what Aller ever did at Penn State during his time. I just feel like Carson Beck would have gotten the nod over him, but Sorsby to me probably would have been about the fourth or fifth quarterback to come off the board if he would have entered this year's draft, which would have had him second, third round. I just never saw a first round quarterback watching Britton Sorsby.
Well, it had him later than that because
true.
Because Beck didn't go to the fourth, I believe.
You're right. Yeah.
No. I think maybe he went to the third. I forget where exactly that he went, because you had McCoy go in the first pick of the fourth round. But I want to say that Beck went. Was it the third round to the Arizona
Cardinals? I thought it was
Cardinals?
the third. I thought it was the third. I could be wrong on that, but regardless, I think Sorsby would have been a third round.
Third round, 65th overall.
So to me, in my opinion, that's about where you would have had Sorsby fall if he would have came out. I just didn't see a first round great quarterback on him.
But the bottom line is, whether we think the quarterback position is going to make or break the Texas Tech season, they're going to be in big games. If they're in big games and Will Hammond is not up to par, that's where they're going to look at it and they're going to say, okay, we used all that money on Sorsby. Yes, Hammond was supposed to be the guy for next year. He showed he can't be the guy, or he showed he can be the guy. And that's where you evaluate that situation. Like, Hammond was not supposed to be playing this year, and now he's going to be needed, and there's going to be a lot to be asked of him. All right, in at number 9, it's Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. I'm kind of over the Coach Prime story at Colorado, just because I think the better days are already way past us. The apex of Coach Prime at Colorado was Travis Hunter winning the Heisman Trophy, which is a remarkable accomplishment. And that second season where they were competing for a spot in the Big 12 championship game, and then they had that grotesque loss at the end of the year to Kansas. After that, they were abysmal last year without Shador and without Travis Hunter. They had no consistency at the quarterback position. We shall see what Juju Lewis does, but they lost arguably their best player in Jordan Seaton, who transferred over to your school, Garrett, in LSU. This is a make-or-break year, I guess you could say, for Coach Prime, but it's tough for me to even think they're going to make it, because making it for them would be getting to a bowl game. And I know funky things could happen in college football. I just do not see, and we've gone through the schedule before, and we've evaluated this roster. I just do not see how Coach Prime gets this team to 6 wins to be bowl eligible. The only way, maybe they luck into 5 wins, and then enough schools say no, and then they find a way to a bowl invite. But in the honest, good merit faith of getting to a bowl game, that's the line of demarcation in most people's mind is 6 wins. I just don't see how Coach Prime and company get the 6 wins this year.
There's no way they get to 6 wins. I'm struggling to find 3 wins max for them. To me, this is about what I expected with this whole Deion tenure in Colorado. This is about how I expected it to unfold. Your talent was there with what you brought in when you brought your Louis. Your Louis's been gone. I just don't see him making it after this season. I wish him nothing but the best. I'll be rooting for Juju to have a successful season, but I'm not sold on Colorado under Deion.
It's disappointing because I always, when Deion was at Jackson State, I always said, I hope that he gets like an SEC gig. And Arkansas did flirt with him because it would have been interesting to see Deion with SEC resources and that flair that he has and that charismatic personality that he has. But Colorado is such a dog crap job, and you have to do everything right there to get it humming. And even in the first year where yes, the initial jolt was cool. They started off the year 3-0. They beat TCU. It was the national championship game the year prior. They beat Nebraska, and then they had that close game up against Colorado State with the sunglasses controversy with Jay Norvell. Then after that, they won 1 game down the stretch. And then the following season, they were successful. Bitter ending, but they were successful. And last year, you just saw, without Shador and without Travis Hunter, they have not been able to replenish what they lost. And I know that what they lost was a lot. And it's, you know how people will say the season and a job is a marathon, not a sprint?
Right.
For Coach Prime, it was a sprint at Colorado. And the best days were going to be early, not late. And I just have a feeling this is going to unfortunately end ugly. And it's a shame because college football needs more personality from their coaches. And Coach Prime has a great personality, and he could be a face for college football. But ultimately, you got to have wins. And they're not going to have enough wins at Colorado. The reason I put them at 9, in Coach Prime and not 8, it's because I have UNC and Bill Belichick at 8. At least Coach Prime had that one season. Now, to be fair, Coach Prime at the end of year 1 was not viewed as wildly successful. Bill Belichick, obviously, on Chapel Hill was not viewed as wildly successful. With that being said, though, this year in year 2, you have to. If Bill Belichick, it's weird to say if he has any future in coaching because the guy won 6 Super Bowl championships. He's arguably the greatest NFL head coach of all time. But if he has any future in getting this ship right at UNC, he's got to get to 6 wins. Because if the great Bill Belichick could be in college athletics for 2 years and can't get to a bowl game, that's a disaster. And people are out to get Bill because Lombardi is a clown, and those 33rd team comments weren't smart. Jordan Hudson is more focused on wearing T-shirts and getting into spats with people on social media. It is a sad ending to the greatness that we've seen of Bill Belichick. But if I'm running the UNC athletic department and the great Bill Belichick can't get something moving in the right direction through 2 years and they can't make you look like a bowl team in 2 seasons on the job, why should I believe when he gets older and older that we're going to see better days from Bill Belichick? This is a huge year. UNC had nobody drafted. I understand you were looking for a new voice when Mac Brown, maybe got a little bit stale, but Mac did a good job in getting that program back in the right direction from the prior coach. And you look at it, this is just something that Bill's got to get to 6 wins this year, or I would just end this partnership. And Garrett, as I said for Coach Prime, I'll say it for Bill again. I don't see how Bill gets a 6 this year.
I don't either. To me, I'm going to be fascinated to see when that's the case, how they approach it. Because I think you got to fire Lombardi first before you go and fire Bill Belichick. I'm just interested to see how that.
I don't know about that, because, like, in the NFL, yeah, okay, like a GM has a different type. Mike Lombardi is. Oh, man, I don't want to get myself. He's Bill Belichick's bitch. Like, that's what he is.
I know he is.
I if that's too harsh for some people, it's fine. But what
is
Mike Lombardi without Bill Belichick in the year of 2026 for football? The guy carries his water. So, no, like, as much as I think Lombardi is an ass and he's technically the general manager, this is Bill Belichick's show. If you're getting rid of Lombardi, let me tell you something. You're getting rid of Belichick, because Belichick will then throw a hissy fit and not let you get rid of Mike Lombardi, because for some reason he is handing over the trust to this, to whatever role Lombardi is, as a general manager, whatever that does in college football. And it's an important one. I'm not trying to diminish the role, but no, like, as much as I would like to slam Mike Lombardi because I can't stand his guts, this is on Bill. This is on Bill 1,000%.
It is, but you also, if you're the GM and you're supposed to be bringing in the talent and everything, I know there's layers to this. To me, before they fired Belichick, somebody else's head would roll. In my opinion, it would be Lombardi. But that's how I'd have to see that. At the same time,
I disagree with that. But
what are your realistic expectations at North Carolina? To me, like, when Mac Brown left, you should have got a younger guy to come in that could actually relate and make sense. Yeah, that would have been a great hire. I never understood the hire of Bill Belichick. It makes no sense to me.
Well, I'll tell you why the hire happened, because you had boosters that were enamored by the name, and they didn't look for fit. They just looked at the name, and they said, this is the greatest coach of all time. He wants to coach in college. The NFL isn't giving him a job. Yeah, let's scoop him up.
Yeah, I get that, but, like, that didn't work at Arizona State with Herm Edwards. I know Herm's no damn Belichick, but dude, it's Herm, too different.
But Herm's a pimple on the ass compared to Bill in terms of name.
I understand, but it's two totally different things. And boosters getting out over their skis because they have the money, like, you should not listen to them. They should not be making that hire. I would have never listened to.
But sometimes they do, because now college athletics is all about the dollars. It's all about the dinero. It's all about the straight cash moolah. All righty, let's go to 7. Ryan Williams at Alabama. Ryan Williams, his first year at Alabama, the conversations were who's the better wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams? Remember that 2 years ago? Now, after what we saw or what we didn't see from Ryan Williams last year, this is a huge year for Ryan Williams. And there's some pressure now off of Kalen DeBoer because he just got the contract extension. You have not a rookie quarterback, or he's not a freshman technically. He was with the program last year, but you got Keelan Russell coming on in. He'll probably be the starter. You have Grubbs now back for year number 2 with DeBoer at Alabama. Ryan Williams needs to be that explosive playmaker that we saw him be in like that game up against Georgia in year 1, where Alabama looked like they were going to beat the snot out of them, and then Georgia came running on back. And then you have basically Ryan Williams being a football ballerina down that right sideline on that big 80-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Milroe to Ryan Williams, and you had that miraculous twirl by Ryan Williams. We got to see that version of Ryan Williams back, because he was not the same player that he was in his freshman year compared to what we saw in year number 2. And Ryan Williams has all the tools and has everything to be a great player. Now, the potential has to be shown. Potential means you haven't done it yet. We now need to see Ryan Williams do it and have a monster year 3.
I think what really hindered him was the inability to amass the talent the way they used to be able to do. Like, if you go back and look at some of those wide receiver cores that Saban had, it was absurd. Ryan Williams is out here essentially trying to do this by himself and make it happen, and teams were just taking him away. But also, to me, like, if you're on that level, there's no way you should be able to dip the way he dipped. And if Ty Simpson truly is a first-round quarterback, y'all should have been able to make more plays than you did. So, yeah, he needs to have a big season this year, especially for his draft implications.
And he's got to stay healthy.
Yes.
And, there's no major off-the-field problems to my knowledge, but it seems like football needs to be the focus. That is what I'll say. In at number 6, Lenore Sellers. South Carolina had a major season 2 years ago. And there was momentum brewing, and I give credit to Shane Beamer. He got Lenore Sellers to stay. And Lenore Sellers, he had, I think it was like a 2-year, $8 million offer to go somewhere else. But at the end of last season, I thought it would have been the smart decision after you stayed at South Carolina to then leave because it didn't work out in your favor and just go somewhere else and get a fresh start for one last year. And a lot of people think you could be a first-round quarterback, and you have the tools and the traits to be a first-round quarterback. Lenore Sellers, I know money talks, but you could have got money elsewhere, and he continues to be loyal to Shane Beamer and South Carolina. This is a year where I can't sit there and say I expect South Carolina to go to the college football playoff. I'm not going to say that after they had the expectations a year ago, and they fell short in a miserable fashion. But this needs to be a year where Lenore Sellers, forget what South Carolina does. This needs to be a Lenore Sellers season because you hear a lot about quarterbacks that have all the tools and all the traits like Anthony Richardson and, DJ Lagway. And I know I just mentioned 2 Florida quarterbacks, Dylan Raiola too. And people slobber over them early. And if you look back at the college career so far, DJ Lagway did nothing. Anthony Richardson's done nothing. And Raiola, nice. He got Nebraska to a bowl game and got Nebraska a bowl victory. But in a large scheme of things of what the expectations level were, he did not meet what they were. And now he's sitting for a year designed, unless if Dante Moore gets hurt. And he's going to be the backup option and then kind of pull a Dante Moore and hope that his last year is really where he's going to flourish. So I look at Lenore Sellers. There's been inconsistency. There have been flashes where he looks brilliant. It can't be flashes anymore. He needs to assert himself this year, and if he doesn't, and some team takes a first-round pick on him and we don't see enough out of him, they use a first-round pick on him, they'll be wildly disappointed on it. You cannot just draft a guy because you fall in love of what he can be, and you just hope he'll put it together in the NFL. I remember saying it when Anthony Richardson got drafted. I never understood the draft pick. I know what people thought he could be, but whenever I watch Anthony Richardson at Florida, I never saw a level of consistency. It doesn't mean you need to be all the way at the tippy top of the mountain throughout all 12 games, but you can't keep on going from the floor to the top, the floor, then up a moment to the top, then all the way down to the floor. You need to just sometimes just be a little bit stagnant, be a little bit in the middle ground, and have a few middle ground games and still be competitive. But I got to see more consistency this year from Lenore Sellers. In at number 5, it is going to be Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood, outside of Arch Manning, he may have been last year the player I was most excited to see in college football. And I don't know how much of it was his fault because Sharon Moore was more interested in DMing like OnlyFans models and, his secretary or his, executive assistant, whatever you want to call her, Paige Shivers or Shivers, whatever her name is. And Bryce Underwood didn't get the proper coaching. Whatever Sharon Moore was, I could say this even though Kyle Whittingham has a massive challenge in front of him, and we don't know how he's going to do. He was wildly successful at Utah, but you don't know what he's going to do in the Big Ten at Michigan. And that task to him is to get Bryce Underwood to thrive and pop off and be the player that they're paying him to have all that money. And I know this about Kyle Whittingham. If he succeeds or not is one thing, but he will give Bryce Underwood the proper coaching. So I put this more on Bryce than I do on Kyle Whittingham because it is going to be a foreign language with Kyle Whittingham than whatever he got last year under Sharon Moore, really not being as present as you would anticipate a college football coach to be.
No, and I also think Kyle Whittingham bringing over Jason Beck is going to be really beneficial for Bryce Underwood as the OC. He did really a phenomenal job developing Devin Dampier and getting the most out of him. And Devin Dampier ultimately just hit the wall in his passing ability Bryce is head and shoulders above what Dampier has as a passer. So I think watching them develop and that process is going to be fascinating up there in Ann Arbor.
Okay, and at number 4, it's a Lane Train. Maybe one of the biggest stories we got in college football. And it's bizarre because of how he left, I think puts even more pressure on him. Because you were leaving a team that was in the college football playoff. It was ugly. It was sloppy. The fashion, how you left was just not the right way. And I don't fault him for leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU, but the process and how he left it just was not right. And you say that as an LSU fan, even, and you even agree with that. But it is his first year, and I look at what my expectations are. I'm not going to sit there and say he needs to go win a national championship this year. And I get it. 3 different coaches have won national championships at LSU since the year of 2000. But you better be in the college football play. If you get Ole Miss to the college football playoff, bare bone minimum, you better get LSU with the resources that you have in year number 1 to the college football playoff. And here's the other thing. And I think Lane is really good for college football. And if Lane could have the ultimate success at LSU, it is a villain in Lane Kiffin with a brand of LSU where they could really turn to be the villain of college football. And they could go spend, and make this uncomfortable and unfortunate for a lot of people. And you're in the power of the SEC. And remember, the SEC, they haven't been in the last 3 national championship games. Forget about winning it. They haven't even been in the final game of the season. This could be, with how he left. I think a lot of people, when Lane was at Ole Miss, people liked Lane. I think it was the first time Lane was really likable. Like, no one cared when he was at FAU. At USC and Tennessee, things got ugly. The NFL, things were ugly with the Raiders. He became a different Lane, or that's what they were trying to sell and all that bullcrap, and we found out it not to be true. Lane is all about Lane. Yeah. And Lane is his own worst enemy. But Lane, if Ed Orgeron and Les Miles have won a national championship at LSU, Lane Kiffin better go win a national championship at LSU. But if he wins, especially with how he left, people will hate him more and more and more. And I'm okay with there being an antagonist and a villain in college football.
And I think he's in the perfect position to embrace that. If he LSU does not give a damn. Like, they will gladly become
win at all costs.
At all costs, they will win. I mean, it doesn't matter. To me, as an LSU fan, the expectations now, I don't give a damn about an SEC championship. I couldn't care less if that game ever was played. I want it in the playoff, and you better win, and you better make good runs consistently, because that's the standard. And you need to win championships at least once every 5 years.
But if they win the SEC championship in year 1, that is something you could be proud of.
Yeah, but I mean, what does it matter if you get bounced in the first round of the playoffs?
No, I understand that the conference championships aren't as important as they once were. I'm totally cognizant of that fact. But in year 1, you just agree with me. The goal is to get to the college football playoff. And some people may think that that's not good enough. Like, I have no problem if an LSU fan says, hey, he had Ole Miss in the Final Four.
Right.
He better go get us bare minimum to the Final Four. I understand the LSU fan that says it with the heightened expectation with Lane coming over and what Lane has been about. Especially the last few years. But in year number 1, it's going to be tough for me not to be satisfied if Lane is at least in the college football playoff. And maybe that's because it's year 1 and it takes time. But Cignetti just showed you it really doesn't take time. In year 1, he made the college football playoff at Indiana, and then year 2, he won a national championship. So maybe that expectation that I created is antiquated to a lot of people.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there are going to be people that feel that way. For me, how everything during the Brian Kelly tenure was just so god-awful, just making the playoff in year 1 would be satisfactory to me. Now, don't get blown out like Tech did last year. If you make it and you lose a close game, that's cool, but make it count if you make it there.
Okay. I'm confused a little bit by what you're saying, though. Like, am I mishearing you? You're saying you're satisfied if they get to the college football playoff. But then if they're there, they better go win.
No, what I'm saying.
See, this is the problem with you LSU people. You're not going to be satisfied. They just made the college football playoff. You're going to want to see multiple college football playoff victories this year.
Year one, if you make it to the college football playoff with Lane and you play a competitive game and lose, and bow out, I will be fine with that. But if you go in and get your ass whooped and you get embarrassed, that's not acceptable. That's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
Number 3, Dan Lanning. There is pressure on Dan Lanning this season. I think people forget that Dan hasn't been at this as a head coach for this long. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll have this one dopey Penn State fan that is a James Franklin sycophant that will get into my mentions all the time and be like, well, you slam James Franklin all the time. Why don't you go after Dan Lanning? Well, did Dan beat James Franklin in a Big Ten championship? Was James Franklin at Penn State for over a decade? Like, James Franklin did a good job, a really good job at Penn State. But the script got old because as the games got bigger and you got past the point, oh, Penn State's just happy to be back and be relevant, you then need to go compete and win big games and go win a national championship. And sorry, beating SMU and Boise State to get to the Final Four, and then when you had Notre Dame there and your quarterback stunk, that's not good enough. And last year was just an absolute disaster. But I look at Dan Lanning, had a conference change, first year in the conference, won the Big Ten. Last year had an Indiana problem. Everybody had an Indiana problem. But now after being there for 4 years or so, you got to take this the next step further. Like, I really do believe, and I understand Ryan Day got to a national championship game before he then ended up winning he lost one and then ended up winning one. But Ryan Day and Dan Lanning are in similar spots, except I think at the time Dan Lanning was a lot likable now in his tenure than where Ryan Day was. But for Dan Lanning, it's to a point where, yes, you don't have a lot of losses on your resume. But when you establish a resume that is just missing one obvious thing, and that's a national championship, and you return your quarterback in Dante Moore, and you have a ton of resources at Oregon, and Oregon also has to fight that stigma of being a team where, how many times have we seen it with Chip Kelly and Helfrich through those years where they've had some really damn good teams, and they just come up short. Now for Oregon, moving forward, they have accomplished everything but win a national championship for the foreseeable future under Dan Lanning. It's championship or bust.
How much are you putting into the fact that he's going to have to replace both coordinators this year? Or is that just not a factor? Or?
Well, he replaced Dillingham, and it was a seamless transition.
Right.
So, yeah, is it an ideal situation where you lose Tosh Lapoy and Will Stein? No. But I think that he has the infrastructure and the clout in the sport and the talent also, too, where that shouldn't be an issue. Like, I don't think this is going to be a Dan Campbell situation with the Lions where the team just looks totally different because you're without the offensive and defensive coordinator. Change is inevitable in college football more than ever, and it's just so different from year to year. And with the talent that they have there, I truly don't believe a coordinator is going to ultimately determine the success of Oregon this year. It's on the players and it's on the head coach for me.
Okay.
Why are you concerned about that?
I am a little bit. I'm just interested to see how he navigates it. You bring up a good point about Dillingham. I kind of forget about that when Will Stein just did a seamless job there. I'm more so worried on the defensive side. But I know Dan Lanning's kind of a defensive mind. But that's just kind of where I've got my eye on them this year. I am a little concerned about it.
All right, I'm going to go to a conference here. We've done players. We've done coaches. It's the SEC. You were supposed to be the preeminent conference in the sport. Right now, the SEC, even if they want to claim it, they can't.
Nope.
They cannot say that they're without a doubt, and they could for years, the best conference in the sport. And you know where the SEC fan starts to know that they're cooked, where they go, oh, well, from top to bottom, we're the best. Mm-hmm. Well, no. The SEC never cares about the bottom. They don't.
They never have.
The SEC only cares about being on top. And the last 3 years, you had Indiana, Ohio State, and Michigan win the national championship. It's not like you just had one school, like where Clemson was putting a dent into them. It's not like you just had one school. You've had 3 different schools from the same conference, and your schools, the best they've done the last 3 years, just get to the Final Four. They have not been able to get back to the national championship game. It is a game of tug of war in college football right now, where for the top rope, it is between the Big Ten and the SEC. And for years, it was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the SEC was winning, winning, winning. And then the gap got shorter. And it was a true stalemate. And when Michigan won, big power to the Big Ten. When Ohio State won, big shift to the power of the Big Ten. And then when Indiana wins, the SEC got pulled over and they lost the game of tug of war. Now the SEC has to grab that rope and pull it back in their direction. And if they don't win the national championship this year, and then it's in 4 straight years where they don't have a national champion, I think a lot more people nationally, regardless of what Sankey gets up and says and what they try to tinker with the college football playoff, a lot of people are going to look at the SEC and say, this isn't your granddaddy's SEC anymore.
No, it's not. And honestly, I feel like this year is so important for them because the money that just came out and the Big Ten's already separated itself even further from the SEC than they expected. It's going to be very difficult for them to play catch up. So this to me is a crucial year for the SEC to put their name back in relevance.
And number 1, Arch. It's Arch Manning. He was the person under the most pressure last year in college football. He had these insane expectations where it was, if he doesn't win a national championship or if he isn't the winner of the Heisman Trophy, then this year was a disaster. It was an ugly start for Arch Manning. But then down the stretch, he started to show that, okay, he could play this position and play this position at a very high level. We have had 3 years of the Arch Manning dance, right? It has been 3 years, and he sat for 1 longer than expected because you had Quinn Ewers stick around for an extra year. And Quinn Ewers, to his credit, is an underappreciated figure in college football because he got Texas to the playoff not once, but twice, in a 4-team format and a 12-team format.
Yep.
So he was right there. He helped bring Texas back. And even through the success of Quinn Ewers, it was just wait for Arch, just wait for Arch, just wait for Arch, just wait for Arch. Arch last year wasn't all that. And it was a bad season for the Texas standard of what it was supposed to be, but it ended on a positive note. It's weird for that to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, I think what a lot of people failed to realize last year is Texas lost a lot with the moves that they made in the offseason, the talent that they returned. It's time for Texas to soar high. And don't tell me that they can't find a way to win the SEC because in their first year in the SEC, they were the 4th team. They were one of the 4 teams remaining, and the lone team from the SEC to still be standing in the college football playoff. They did lose that SEC championship game to Georgia, but there is no team. I think you would agree with this. There is no team and no player. If you do team-player combination, there is no team and no player under more pressure than Texas and Arch Manning this year. If I say coach, maybe it's a different story. I think there's pressure on Sark, but you could argue there's coaches under more pressure this year. But with the team success and the player success, I don't know if there's a team in the country that has more pressure than if you just give me a single player in a team than Arch Manning in Texas.
No, I mean, that you could maybe make an argument for a couple, but no, I think
Oregon and Dante Moore maybe.
Them and LSU, Lane and Sam Levitt, those are the only two to me.
But I'm talking just player and team.
Yeah. So to me, it's like to me, there's no excuses for Arch Manning this year because you've got elite receivers around you and Wingo, Camp Coleman. Your offensive line is back. Hollywood Smothers, Raleek Brown in the backfield. The defense is legit. You've learned everything and soaked up everything you can.
Got Sheen Biles coming over.
Yeah, and Quinn, this is your time. And if you can't win and win a natty now, we're going to be looking back at Arch saying this is one of the most. I wouldn't. How would you describe? How would you describe Arch's tenure right now? He's not a bust.
Incomplete.
He's incomplete. Okay.
Or I'll say it this way: wanting more.
Right, because I don't want to call him a bust.
No, I can't call him a bust yet. I think that is wildly unfair to call him a bust yet before it's completed. But, can he have success this year without winning a national championship?
Absolutely.
If he is a Heisman Trophy finalist and Texas loses 35-38 or 38-35 on a walk-off field goal in the semifinal, and then he's the number 1 overall pick in the draft, it's tough to say that that's a failure. But the hype was set so high up that I remember saying this last year in the offseason. I don't know if he could match the hype because we set What did Jordan say? The ceiling is the roof when he was welcome back to UNC. The
ceiling is the roof. Yep.
Whatever that means, that's what it kind of feels like with Arch Manning. Whatever you think is the ceiling, no, it's the roof, and there's like a different level that you could end up going to, even when you think you're at the tippy top with him. So, like even if he wins a Heisman Trophy this year, and then they lose, and let's say he throws a crucial interception in the college football playoff in the semifinal, there's going to be people that say that he wasn't worth it. And I'm trying, like, has there been a player in college football that has been hyped up as much as Arch Manning?
And
hasn't won either a Heisman or, like, look at Tebow, met the hype.
Yeah.
Cam eventually met the hype.
Yeah. No, I mean, nobody else I could think of.
Like Johnny Manziel was a huge guy, won a Heisman. Didn't win an Addy, but won a Heisman.
He won a Heisman. No, he's unprecedented. Like the expectations coming out of high school and everything. Like there's so much surrounding him, and there's so many layers to the Arch Manning story. I've never seen anything like it personally.
And this was the design of the Manning family, was to have him sit, wait, learn, and absorb.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't tell me he wasn't ready. You can't tell me he didn't have a great education. And it was last year. The stunning part to me when I look back at Arch last year is just how he didn't look ready.
Right.
And you would think a kid that's grown up around football has had the greatest education, you could argue, if you wanted to play the game, in the quarterback position. And there were still nerves. And that happens. There were jitters. Like early in the season, he had the yips. But you got that out of your system. The pressure can't be the issue this year. Because if the pressure is the issue this year, then guess what? You're not gonna ever meet the expectations of what you're supposed to be. And I don't think the pressure is going to be the reason why Arch or Texas doesn't have success this year. It's going to come down to, is he good enough? And I would still say right now, he'll be the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
There's only 2 other players that I think you could consider.
I'm thinking Dante Moore or Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, but the odds are in a quarterback draft.
Yeah.
A quarterback's going to go first.
Yeah.
I have a tough time, as much as Jeremiah Smith may be the best player.
Yeah.
But the best player always doesn't get to go number 1. And for Dante Moore, if it's close, if Dante Moore wins a Heisman and national championship, maybe that moves him over. But what are the chances are that he ends up winning both of those this year?
That's slim, dude. That's hard. That's hard for anybody to do that.
Like the Texas schedule this year, they play Texas State, they play Ohio State, UTSA, at Tennessee, Oklahoma, Florida, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Missouri, LSU, Arkansas, A&M. Ohio State tough, Oklahoma tough, Ole Miss you would gather is tough with Chambliss and Lacey back. LSU could be tough, and A&M is tough.
Yeah.
They got to – I'm not saying that you look at that schedule, you say they're easily 10-2. But they should – they need to be a 10-2 team bare minimum.
Yeah. I'm interested, like that. They can't sleep on Missouri either. That they could sneak up and get them, but we'll see.
Yeah, sure. There's like other schools that could put a wrench in their plan. But when you look at the big games and you circle the big games, it's Ohio State, it's Oklahoma with Red River, it's Ole Miss, it's LSU, and it's A&M.
So they don't play Georgia this year?
No, they don't have Georgia.
They lucked up. Okay.
And last year, they lost to Ohio State. They lost to Florida. That was a bad one.
Yeah, that was a terrible loss.
And then they got smothered by Georgia, 35-10. But at the end of the season, they upset A&M, and then, who cares? They beat Michigan in a bowl game.
Yeah.
Sharon Moore was probably DMing every girl in America.
He was busy.
It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. We'll take a timeout. When we do come back, what we will get to is some comments on the NFL world. We got a few videos that we want to play for you with Patrick Mahomes, Malik Willis, and a little behind the scenes on how the Cowboys did get Caleb Downs. We'll do that next.
A 4-burner, side-burner, side-sear burner with Clearview Glass stainless steel grill from Monument Grills. Made of tempered glass, which is strong, insulated, and allows you to check your grilling without lifting the lid. Our porcelain-coated cast iron cooking grids offer a large cooking surface of 513.3 square inches, primary cooking area, with even heat cooking. The Monument Grills include LED control knobs and are easy to light with pilotless electronic ignition. Better grilling, better value, Monument Grills.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Hey guys, I'm Abby Dommett, 2023 CrossFit Games athlete, and I use Airwave because it helps me breathe easier and stay more relaxed during my workouts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very discreet.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, welcome back in, and it's the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. So in December, middle of December last year, the Chiefs' season was already a disaster. Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL and his LCL. Garrett, Chiefs OTAs start in about a month. And I read a report yesterday that Mahomes is ahead of schedule, and he probably won't be a full go at those OTAs, but he'll be in a limited capacity.
Right.
If that's the case, Mahomes, I guess, is going to start week 1. And, like, I remember being in Philly when Carson Wentz, it was late in the season, Eagles were out in L.A., and Wentz, it was the year the Eagles ended up winning their first Super Bowl. He tore his ACL, ended up tearing it, and then completing a touchdown pass. They won the NFC East that night. And then after he threw that touchdown, he exited the game, and it found out that his season was over. I remember Wentz came back. He wasn't there the first week of the season. He may have came back in week 2 or week 3. I forget which one. It was against the Indianapolis Colts. And they were going up against Andrew Luck, who Andrew Luck actually, this is a wild game. He had to get taken out of the game at the end because Andrew Luck also had his injuries because they didn't think he could complete the throw for the distance required on the Hail Mary. And Andrew Luck ended up having an awesome statistical season that year. But I left that game and I was like, ugh, I don't love the future of Andrew Luck's career. And he had a wonderful season. But Wentz came back really early, and he just never was the same player. Never was. And I understand Patrick Mahomes is when he's healthy the best quarterback in football. And Carson Wentz, I think people forgot how good Wentz was. Wentz was going to win the MVP that year over Tom Brady before he got hurt. So I look at Mahomes. If I'm Kansas City and you put him out there on the field, you got to make sure he's 100% right. But we're talking about middle of December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. It's 9 months. But we say this all the time with quarterbacks coming back from ACLs, and you saw it with Brady. And I know that this is many years ago, and it's different, and everyone's recovery time has been expedited, blah, 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 blah. Brady's first year back for that ACL, which would have been the 2009 season, it was good. It's good. Wasn't back to being Tom Brady until after that. And I think for Mahomes this year, if the Chiefs somehow get to the Super Bowl, and if they win a championship, it will be their most impressive championship yet to date, because you look at all that they lost, and I know they traded up in the draft, they got Monster Delane, but they don't have Jalen Watson, they don't have Trent McDuffie. On offense, there's a lot of question marks with the pieces that they have. and the offensive line still needs to be better. If Mahomes wins with an aging Travis Kelce this year coming on back from the ACL, it may be one of the more impressive things we've seen in the sport, and the AFC is open. So it is possible, but they're putting a lot, and I get it, he's your franchise quarterback. They are putting a lot on the plate of Patrick Mahomes this year.
No, they are, and everybody does recover differently. I just feel like now, in the way things are with the technology and recovery and everything, I'm not surprised that he's getting back out there. And his trainer, Bobby Shroop, like he's literally been working with this dude since high school. Like their connection and everything that they do is different than a lot of other people. Like he's moved Bobby up there to Kansas City and like made a whole career out of working with him, and he does other trainings as well. So I know that I have confidence that they're going to have him right. But I'm not shocked that he's already back out there. And I think he's going to have a really solid season this year.
But it's probably a Mahomes decision. It needs to be a team decision.
No, that's true.
They need to be in lockstep. And I don't know what the team is saying, but Mahomes is going to push because he's a player.
Yeah.
And players want to play. And players don't want to be told no. But you cannot have negligence here when you're talking about the most important player in the history of your franchise. Because if you rush him back and he suffers another injury and he has to miss a full season and he's not right, and you ruin this player, and Mahomes, see, here's the thing with Mahomes. He's had a lot of injuries. Last year, his injury wiped him out for the rest of the season. That was his big catastrophic injury. But he's had injuries in playoff games. There was that one Thursday night game when I was working at Sirius. It was 2019 season, I believe. I thought his season was over right there. Like, he's had nasty injuries. He's never had to miss a large chunk of time. And last year, the season was already over. Then he got the ACL injury. But that was the first mega injuries that he suffered. But we've seen playoff games where he's had to leave. And then there's been question about his knee, and there's been question about his ankle. Remember when Chad Henne had to I think it was Chad Henne. He had to come on in and complete that 2-yard out route to Tyreek Hill. And it was a good play call by Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid. So we've seen him get hurt. Matt Moore, I think, has had to play some games there. I believe that was one of the backup quarterbacks. So we've seen it, but this is the first major one where if it would have been in week 3, he would have been out for the entirety of the season.
Right.
It was just that the season was already over, but they can't rush him back. Like, I would be as cautious could be. And, like, let's be real. The schedule comes out soon. Think in like 2 weeks or so. I would imagine the Chiefs going to get some cupcakes early on. Usually the Chiefs get really good games early on because the marquee games, Kansas City, they're going to put some Mahomes buffer and Mahomes bumpers up to make sure, okay, if you need to be out all September, is there a way Kansas City could go 2-2 or even 1-3? And then Mahomes comes back and then he's balling and rocking, and they maybe even limp into the postseason 10-7. But if they're in the postseason, you know this and I know this, no one's going to want to see him. Here is Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk discussing the future of Patrick Mahomes and how this is going to go for this season.
Has been said, and much more will be said, about the status of Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. He suffered a torn ACL late in the 2025 regular season, and now he's in the process of recovering and preparing for 2026. The obvious question is, when will he be 100%? And when he is 100%, will we see him do all the things that we are used to seeing him doing, running around, changing directions, doing the things that put extra stress on the knee? It dawned on me recently that limitations don't matter. Restrictions don't matter. Nothing is going to stop Patrick Mahomes from playing. The moment he thinks he's good to go, he will do everything in his power to get on the field and play the game the way he always has. He does not reside in his fears. He will embrace the risk of a potential injury. He is not going to sacrifice a season of football worrying about an injury that would sacrifice a season of football. So when he's back in uniform and you see him on the field, don't worry about Patrick Mahomes, because he won't be. He'll go out there and do everything that we've always seen him do the moment he's ready to go.
Here are the Chiefs' opponents this year. Clearly, they're divisional teams, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chargers. They play the Cardinals. They play the Colts. They play the Patriots. They play the Jets. They play the 49ers. They play the Falcons. They play the Bills, the Bengals, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Seahawks. Watch, Garrett. The NFL is going to schedule them the first 3 weeks. The Dolphins, the Jets, and the Cardinals.
That would make sense. That would definitely
and
make
maybe
sense.
they're going to throw a tough team in there. They throw in Indianapolis, right? Who isn't – it's not murderer's row. Because also from the NFL standpoint, from a ratings standard and what the TV partners want, if there's a question if Mahomes is going to be back or not early on in the season, they're not going to schedule those marquee games early. They'd be kind of foolish too. I do wonder who their first game is going to be, and it wouldn't shock me if it's like a Monday night. And if he does play, then ESPN is happy. But then if it's not, that's where you maybe don't run the risk of that. Maybe they do a 4:25 game to just be safe.
No, they could. I mean, it would be interesting, though, like in that scenario, if it was a Thursday and you made them play like the Cardinals, you just let Jeremiah Love get the shine on, that stage or whatever. But I don't think Mahomes would play.
No, yeah, and since they didn't win the Super Bowl, it wouldn't be, I think they may have an international game early.
You know what? I think do they go to Brazil? Are they the ones going to Brazil? Rio?
Doesn't the NFL, like Wednesday or something? Kansas City is are active in the NFL International Series, having played in they have 4 different. The team is actively pushing to play in Madrid, Spain in 2026. I don't know if that's confirmed though yet. I remember seeing something though about that though.
I think it was the Chargers that were going to Madrid. I mean,
it could be them.
Maybe it was
right. Like it could be Chiefs Chargers. That would not be crazy. So, but I want to say that the NFL season, the champion's going to open up on a Wednesday because that first Thursday game is an international game.
Oh, okay.
International game to open up the NFL season. Let me just double check that.
That would be weird though. Like for the NFL to start on. I mean, they'll take any night of the week.
Well, last year it was Chargers Chiefs on a Friday, and that was in Brazil.
Right. That makes sense. Just a Wednesday seems kind of odd. Seems like a weird night, even for the NFL to be starting their season.
Yeah, for some reason I remember hearing about that open on, let me just see, because I don't want to just give fake news out there. The 2026 season will officially open on Wednesday, September 9th, with the defending champion Seahawks hosting the kickoff game at Lumen Field. The rare Wednesday opener, only second league of history, accommodates a special Week 1 international game. Oh, it's between the 49ers and the Rams. You want to know where that game's being played on Thursday, September 10th?
Hold on. This is the one. It's in Australia, right?
Yes.
The coffee. Okay, so we were at the Super Bowl. Remember the coffee stand they had set up right when you walked into the media area? Like it was the first thing. They had a coffee stand set up there. And I went to get some coffee, and I was pissed because they didn't have like black coffee. It was just bougie Australian stuff. And they were promoting the game. That's how I remembered that.
Wait, what kind of bougie coffee are you talking about?
Man, they had it was some Australian and fancy stuff. They wouldn't just give me black coffee, so they had to make me an espresso, and I had to go upstairs the rest of the time. I was kind of mad about that.
You want to know what's such a joke, by the way, talking about coffee?
What?
So on Mondays, my girlfriend doesn't always work on Mondays. Mm-hmm. She's a PA and she has off on Mondays. So sometimes she'll pick up shifts for extra cash and all that. So on Mondays, weather's getting nicer. I don't have to do the show till 2. We'll walk from her apartment down to mine. Yeah. And, maybe we'll stop. We'll get lunch or something, like brunch, something like that. There's some good places that we've been going to. Bubby's, Commerce Inn. But yesterday, let's just get a bagel. Like I wasn't starving. I go, let's just get I could do like a scallion cream cheese, and everything bagel with scallion cream cheese and a tomato on it. So I like this place in the city. There's 2 places I really like. Leon's, which is right down here, and then this place called Bagel Pub, which I have a bunch of them in the city. Bagel Pub's really good, and so is Leon's. My girlfriend's like, let's go to Apollo Bagels. I've never been. I heard good things. She's never been. All right, fine. We'll go to Apollo Bagels. The bagels weren't that good. But my girlfriend, she wanted a vanilla latte, and I guess they didn't do it at Apollo Bagel. Like I'm just a cold brew black guy. Like that's it.
Oh, just give me some black. I just want black coffee.
Yeah, I just get black coffee, no milk, no sugar. So she wanted this like fancy schmancy. It's just a nice vanilla latte. Yeah. And then she got there. She goes, we'll go sit somewhere else. And we'll take the bagels with us. Right. So there's this little stand 2 blocks away, a stand. And they have maybe 4 tables outside the stand, little hut. And she got a vanilla ice latte with like banana puree or something like that. I don't know. We sit down and, it's on a street in New York City. It's like 4 little tables.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, you probably shouldn't bring outside food. But I just pull out the lady comes storming out. You can't have outside food here.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, okay, get it. So we go walk 2 more blocks. We sit down on a stoop and we're eating the bagel. She goes, by the way, you want to know how much this coffee costs? I go, how much? $11.
Hell no.
$11. I said, you're lucky I didn't know that, because I would have made some snobby comment like $11. I can't even eat a bagel out here.
Yes.
$11 for the
Hell
price.
No, dude.
Remember when they had that guy? The rent is too damn high.
Mm-hmm.
The price of coffee is just too damn high.
It's absurd, dude.
I used to be a Starbucks guy.
Every
day I would go to Starbucks and I would get a large black cold brew. And the guy was a sports fan, so sometimes he would just give it to me for free or give me a Trenta or whatever. And it was great. And I had my coffee guy. But I'm sitting there, I'm like spending $5 to $6 on coffee every day.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that every day. And I could go get 2 large cold brews in the start of the week. It's $10. And I have coffee for the entirety of the week. But it is wild how expensive coffee has now been.
All I wanted with the renovations in this studio was a damn coffee machine.
And you're saying that loudly so someone hears you.
No, they hooked me up with the Keurig. So every day when we finish the show, I go and make an afternoon cup of coffee after having my morning gallon of coffee. So I'm straight here. I'm good.
When I was at Sirius had the best drink stand like I've ever seen. They had a full kitchen, fridge was fully stocked, soda, ginger ale, seltzer, and I don't drink soda, but I like seltzer and I do like some ginger ale. And then they had coffee that gave birth to coffee. It was magnificent. But my old stomping grounds, when I was at CBS Sports Radio, they had a Dunkin' Donuts bar. So they didn't have donuts or anything, but they had, cold brew. They had the freshly brewed coffee from Dunkin'. They had like a little Dunkin' Donuts wing. But yeah, it is rare where the only time I drink a hot cup of coffee is if I'm at a restaurant.
Really?
Because they don't give you free refills on the iced coffee, but the hot coffee they will. So if I'm at a diner or a breakfast spot, I'll go drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee. Instead of that, for probably 360 or 350 days out of the year, I am ice cold brew. I'm just a cold brew black kind of guy. That's just me.
Yeah.
All righty, let's get to Malik Willis. Did you see this, by the way?
Yeah, I have a story on this one after this.
Oh, yes. You do?
Yes.
Oh, wait, have you thrown out a ceremonial first pitch ever?
I have not thrown a ceremonial first pitch, but
put it on pause. If you're just listening in podcast form after this you're not going to be able to see it. But here is, because you can't see it, but also you can't hear anything is what I meant to say. Here is Malik Willis throwing out the ceremonial first pitch at the Miami Marlins game. Go ahead. Oof. That's terrible. Hey, Garrett, do me a favor. Run that back one more time. Run it back one more time. I want to watch that one more time. So he's on the rubber. He throws it, and it's just a bit outside. High and outside. Oh, my God. That's a terrible first pitch. And you know who had a bad first pitch?
There's been a lot.
Mahomes.
I don't remember his.
Yeah, Mahomes had a bad ceremonial first pitch. I was at Citi Field where Baba Booey had a bad one, but I think that was by design. I think that was
probably.
Shtick. 50 Cent had a bad one.
His was terrible.
I forget who the gal was when they used to open up the season in Japan. She was in the high heels. Oh, she had a
I can't remember that.
Terrible.
I remember Roseanne had a god awful one. 50s was just brutal.
If you were asked to throw a ceremonial first pitch, would you try to do it authentically, or would you just try to mess it up?
I would try to I would not want to embarrass myself. So I would not do the full out, I would just try to get it in the strike zone. I'm not doing a full wind up and everything, because I think when you overthink that, you're going to skip it or you're going to sell it. So I would just try to like casually throw it in the glove. I wouldn't like do a stretch or anything.
Let me see. I think I'm sick. No, this isn't her. Nope, never mind. I have this the 10 worst opening pitches in baseball. this whole article. They show 50 Cent, but I'm just trying to find who was the gal. She had a terrible, and I mean a terrible, Mariah Carey.
Oh,
that's who it was.
That's hilarious.
She had the worst ceremonial first pitch that I've ever seen. So what's your story with this?
So that reminded me, like, dude, I remember playing Little League, and I was playing center field, and then they asked me to come pitch, and my first warm-up pitch out of the outfield, like, launched it. It looked like that, dude. It looked like I was throwing it hit the top of the fence. I was just shaking my head, like, so embarrassed, but it was brutal, dude.
What, when you were just playing Little League?
Yeah, I was just trying to get I've been playing center field all game. They called me into relief, and I go up, like my first warm-up pitch was like I was still in the outfield. It just launched.
You're like that guy Henry Rowengarten.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Just
dude.
throwing that ball, and you suffer the injury, and then the next thing you know, you're playing for, I believe it was the Chicago Cubs in that movie. Or maybe
when I saw that, I was like, oh, damn, that gave me flashbacks. I saw Malik do that.
Yeah, bad ceremony. Does that mean he's cooked as a Dolphins quarterback if he's throwing a ceremonial first
No,
pitch like that?
if you look, I think that release was like he was releasing a football. He released it like a way right here instead of just following through with it.
Let's get to the Cowboys. So this is them trading up with the Dolphins to go secure Caleb Downs with the 11th pick in the draft. It's about a 3-minute and 30-second video, a 4-minute video, but I think it's really intriguing just to see how that deal did come to fruition. Go ahead. This is courtesy of the NFL.
The first thing we'll find out if Miami wants Downs.
But they might like to pick more than Downs.
They might, but if they don't like Downs,
The question is, what would you give to go one spot? It's 50 on the chart, which is a fifth.
Well, I would if I thought Miami was going to take Downs and we want Downs. Now, I'd get serious about some points, but
you could give 2/5.
But if I'm Miami, why doesn't Miami sitting there with us? We've had as much written about us and Downs as anybody there is in this draft. We knew it was a long shot if we stayed at 12. He certainly was one of 4 players that we had that we were ready to put some ammo to go up to get.
Hey, Kyle, this is Stephen Jones.
Hey, Stephen, how are you, man?
Right here in Dallas, one behind you. Wondering, are y'all going to pick away, or would you be interested?
What are you guys looking?
We'd probably throw in our 5th plus something. Go one spot.
5 plus. No, we're gonna stay.
Okay.
We're gonna pick. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
No good.
Miami is using all of its time here.
I really didn't think that Miami in this particular case was going to draft him. But I didn't doubt a minute that somebody else would come over and trade Miami out of that spot and get him right out from under us. It wasn't a hard decision to go ahead and up the ante and make sure we had him.
The league in general, had that feeling that, the draft wasn't that deep in blue chip type, especially defensive players. So, we just decided to pull the trigger there and send the 2 5s.
Hold on here, Steve. They'll move back one spot.
You'll move back one spot for a 5? Yeah. No, we do 177, 180 if it's 2 5s. Okay, we got it. Trade in. Hold on, guys. Please be quiet.
Hello, it's Ken.
Hey, this is Steven.
Hey, Steven.
We're giving them our pick, number 12, and we're giving them 177, 180. Miami.
Okay, yep.
Are we good?
Yes.
Turn it in.
You have a deal.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't. We're on the clock.
We're on the clock.
Plenty of time.
They're turning it in. We got 10 seconds, 2 seconds.
Then it's us on the clock.
Then
it's us on the clock.
Better hurry up and get it in.
Dallas has submitted its pick. Miami is on the clock.
Caleb Downs.
Hello?
Caleb. Hey, baby, I got somebody who wants to talk to you. Caleb. Hey, Caleb, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Caleb,
sir.
this is Jerry Jones. You're a cowboy.
I don't know about you, Garrett. That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So what I thought happened in those rooms is totally. I thought you just called in the draft pick. Like you literally just called the league. You saw the panic with those guys.
Yes.
They're like, why are you just saying that we're taking Caleb Downs? Why? But I guess someone on a computer is off to the sides, and then they submit it. That's what it must have been. But Steven was pointing. He goes, put it in. And everyone's like, no, you need to. That was wild how quickly that, and I'm sure it's played up a little bit, but that's wild how quickly that does move.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. When they were looking at that, like 9 seconds, I'm like, oh, shit, you got to put that in? And if you had to translate down the line, did somebody not put that into the computer in time? Like, how would that work if that wasn't put in? Like, they didn't put the name out there in time if you have to sit.
Yeah,
so
there was one year, I think it was Baltimore maybe, who they didn't get their pick in on time, and then yet the other team moved up, and then they fell back one spot. I think that's what happened.
Okay. Because I was like, man, that would have sucked if you weren't able to, they waited to the last second. You have 9 seconds there. You relay it, and they didn't get it in, and you lost your pick. Like, that would have been nuts.
Yeah, in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Ravens failed to submit their first-round pick on time due to a failed trade negotiation with the Bears, allowing the Kansas City Chiefs to jump ahead of them. The Ravens ultimately picked cornerback Jimmy Smith at number 27. So how weird would that have been?
Yeah.
Then the Dolphins would have ran out of time, and I guess but the Cowboys are picking behind them.
That's what I was saying.
But I guess the trade was already executed, so then the Dolphins, who got 2 5s, would have just moved up a spot, and then the Cowboys would have fell back one.
Yeah, that's weird.
I do wonder who the Dolphins would have they would have taken there, because it seemed like that was smart negotiation tactics by the Dolphins. 1 5's not going to do it. And then they end up getting 2 5s for it to just move back one spot. I wonder if they would have taken Downs, because it doesn't seem like another team, the way the Cowboys started, was actually in on it.
Was that the one when they took Proctor?
Yes. Yeah. Because they were at 11. The Dolphins were at 11. They fell back to 12. The Cowboys moved up to 11 to go get Downs.
Yeah. That's weird, dude. I don't know how that would have all felt.
And clearly they weren't in love. The Dolphins weren't in love with Downs.
I think that's
obviously Bain was still there, and they wanted offensive linemen all along. So it was good negotiation tactics by a first-year general manager and John Eric Sullivan, but how quickly that did go down was absolutely wild.
No, that was chaos.
I want to see more. I don't know, but I love the draft, the phone calls, and then that draft. One of those
was like Wall Street.
One of the kids in that video, I think, is Stephen Jones's grandson.
Yeah.
Because I was at the Post Malone concert, and I was on an elevated riser this year at the Super Bowl in a VIP area, and then there was another VIP area for the actual VIP. For us, it was just the media that got invited to that concert. And someone said, "Oh, I think those are Stephen Jones's grandkids," and I'm pretty sure the guy that was in. I don't think he was in a tie. I think he was just in a blazer who looked younger was his grandson. Yeah.
Yeah. He was I covered him when he was a quarterback at Highland Park a few years back. And I remember covering him up there at Cowboy Stadium.
Did he play at Oklahoma?
No, I think he was going to try to go to Arkansas, and it didn't.
Because he knew about CeeDee Lamb. And the way that it goes is that the grandson actually got CeeDee Lamb drafted by the Cowboys.
Well, this kid's way younger than CD.
I don't know about that, though. Maybe it's a different grandson. Yeah, Jerry Jones's grandsons were instrumental in the Cowboys drafting CeeDee Lamb, reportedly preferring him over other options that influenced Jerry to select Lamb, who was available at pick 17. I don't know what – I want to say that the grandson – I want to say that the grandson played at Oklahoma, or at least he was there. Maybe it was an administration or something. Did Jerry Jones's grandson play at Oklahoma? I don't know. I just remember that story. No, he did not play for the University of Oklahoma. But and then he did he ultimately committed to and played for Arkansas. So you're right on that. But there was something about the CeeDee Lamb. Maybe he just knew mutual people that knew about
him.
CD.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. Alrighty, anyway, we are late for a break, so we will take one. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. We come back, we're going to do a Power 4 conference topic. We're going to give 2 players from each Power 4 conference each that transferred that we're intrigued by entering this season of college football in the year of 2026. We'll be back in 2 minutes. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, come on in.
Thanks. I'm having an issue with Ralph.
With Ralph?
He keeps stealing my lunch.
He's just researching new flavors.
That is slow smoked turkey.
Ralph steals my lunch all the time. You get used to it.
He also peed on my bag.
He is warming up to you. You know, starting a new job is a big change. I want you to think about how you can be more accommodating to Ralph. We're all co-owners here.
If I'm only wearing one suit this summer, it has to be Tuileries Performance Linen. It's wrinkle resistant, machine washable, and built with stretch and breathability that actually moves with you. It'll keep you cool, sharp, and stress-free at your next event.
What does being different mean to me? You know, that is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
But love is passion. Something you can't put up.
What do you want? What's that really good non-alcoholic beer I keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
You mean athletic? You're looking at it.
It's athletic. Ask for it.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. Garrett, let's go through this exercise. So we're going to do Power 4 conference transfer players. We'll give 2 each per the Power 4 conferences. Let's start with the Big 12. My first one's going to be DJ Lagway. The first 2 years, he was supposed to be all that and then some at Florida, and it never just materialized. There's questions. Was that more Billy Napier or was that DJ Lagway? And most people assume and believe that it was Billy Napier because he just wasn't fit to be the coach at Florida. Now you go to Baylor where you're a legacy player and there's a legacy with your family name there at the Baylor program and a new start and a fresh start. Hopefully it means that DJ Lagway gets to be the player that we were accustomed to seeing. But Baylor right now is a mess because you have a dead man walking in Dave Aranda. To me, he's a lame duck coach. I don't think anyone believes that he's going to turn it around. And Baylor, with Aranda there, if just the AD didn't have his own situation and they didn't have that hiccup, that massive hiccup, probably you don't end up having, Aranda sticking around and it's Eric Morris or whoever ended up getting that job. I know a lot of people wanted Eric Morris to be the coach. But now you have Lagway there, and it's time for Aranda to get the most out of Lagway and basically have Lagway save his future. But I think most people believe, regardless of what happens this year at Baylor, and I don't think anyone believes they're going to be all that good, that Aranda's going to be out. But you at least hope that DJ Lagway, you could restore belief in him as the player that we thought he could be.
We're doing 2 players or 1?
Yeah, 2 players.
All right,
so we'll go 1 and 1 here.
Okay. I'm going to go Cam Cook, the running back going to West Virginia. He had solid first start to his career when he was at TCU. He did 2 seasons there, was a rotational back that he had. Last year he went to Jacksonville State, led the FCS in rushing, rushed for almost 1,700 yards, has 16 touchdowns. I think going back up into Rich Rod's scheme, and it's funny that you go to West Virginia where Rich Rod left Jacksonville State to go be the coach again, but putting him in that system where how Rich Rod loves to run the ball, I think having Scotty Fox back at quarterback is going to be intriguing as well. But putting Cam Cook in that backfield, I think he's the perfect addition to that offense. I think he's going to blow up this season for the Mountaineers.
My next one's going to be Jaden Craig. When I look inside the Big 12, he's coming over from Harvard. I'm going to lie if I've ever told you I've seen him play football. But you're going to a place in TCU where Sonny Dykes has had success. And last year he had 2,869 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Also had a few rushing touchdowns. But you look at Sonny Dykes, he took that shot at Hoover with all the turnovers in the times that he was the quarterback at TCU. And I'm sure TCU wanted to keep Hoover, but Hoover went in the transfer portal. He wound up in a better spot in Indiana. What a bizarre statement now with how we view Indiana, but it's a reality of the situation when you make the last 2 college football playoffs and you have the best coach in the sport in Kurt Cignetti. But no one's been talking about the guy that's going to replace Hoover, and now we're going to see what a kid from Harvard is going to be able to do at a different level of football.
I'm going to stick with the quarterback as well, and it's going to be Drew Mestemaker coming with Eric Morris and all them going to Oklahoma State. He put up ridiculous numbers when he was at North Texas, and when you look at Oklahoma State, it's weird because Gundy had a run there where he always had not a great quarterback, but he had a good quarterback that could win you games, and it was different styles. He won with older cats, he won with younger guys, but really since the Spencer Sanders situation fell off the rails there, they haven't been the same, dude, at the quarterback position whatsoever. I think Drew Mestemaker is the perfect fit. I think they're going to love him in Stillwater, and I'm really excited to see how his game transitions going from North Texas into the Big 12, where I think he can carve up a lot of these defenses.
That Spencer Sanders situation still to this day, because
So
he was
wild.
good, really good,
pretty good
at Oklahoma State. And then you go to Ole Miss and you transfer and you don't even win the job.
Dude, no, that was and I understand wanting to make a move. Maybe things you and Gundy weren't on the same page anymore. But if you're going to transfer, I think he could have picked a better location to set himself up to continue to play because he was walking into a hornet's nest in that quarterback battle.
It also shows you now how different it is when you transfer now than even just a few years ago. Because now you transfer and the financial commitment is so big that the player has more power than ever, that situation rarely happens.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you transfer and you're assured, okay, you're going to be the guy at least to start the season.
Yeah.
You know, if it's halfway through the season, you're not living up to it. That's different. They'd pull the plug out from, the rug out from underneath you, but at least you still get your money that the school was going to give you. All right, let's go to the Big Ten. I'm going Rocco Beck. Like for you with Mestemaker, he follows his coach. I think Drew Mestemaker, bare minimum, is going to be good. The question is there a different gear? And also you're going a level up in competition. For Rocco Beck, he's going from a Big 12 program to a Big 10 program. It's a different step up in competition, but he's following Matt Campbell to Happy Valley. I've watched a lot of Rocco Beck. At times, people thought this guy could be a first-round quarterback. I don't think he's a first-round quarterback, but the dude's just a gamer. There's just some dudes that are really good college quarterbacks, and I'm not saying that, you could tell the history of college football.
Right.
Like, you could still tell the history of college football without Rocco Beck, but Rocco Beck has had a really good college career, and I don't know how good Penn State's going to be this year, but it's not going to be because of a quarterback problem.
No.
As long as Rocco Beck is healthy, you are going to get a competent product and a competent level of play out of the quarterback position.
No, you are. And I honestly, I think he's an upgrade from Aller. I think they're getting an upgrade in Happy Valley at the quarterback position.
Yeah, the physical traits and the ideal body is better for Aller than Beck, but Beck has had a much better college career than Drew Aller.
Yeah, I think Beck's a better quarterback. I'm going to stick with that same line. I'm going to go Josh Hoover going to Indiana because the expectation of following up a Heisman winner, Fernando Mendoza, is going to be a tall task. And I don't think that's what people are expecting with him going in. And nobody was ever Fernando Mendoza nobody even considered him being a Heisman contender when he made the move over from Cal. But I'm interested to see what Hoover could do in this offense with Cignetti. Now, you don't have the talent on the outside. Like you don't have an Omar Cooper that they had last year, but you're going to get talented pieces around you. How do you adapt to the Big Ten defenses and to step up in quote unquote talent? I'm really fascinated by that aspect. And just what is Indiana as a whole this year? Can you keep this going and not be like a one-trick pony? I know you made it to the playoffs back-to-back.
Schedule's
years.
easy too.
Schedule's super easy, but I'm really intrigued by Josh Hoover at Indiana.
And Indiana gets the benefit of the doubt. Like I would be surprised if they're not in the college football playoff this year. You talk about needing talent, and right? They lost Elijah Surratt. They lost Omar Cooper Jr. Well, how about Nick Marsh coming on in from Michigan State, where there's been a lot of instability as of late there. And now you get the new head football coach coming on in, making his return over from Northwestern. But Nick Marsh, just last year, 59 receptions, 662 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's going to be wide receiver 1 in my estimation there. And Cignetti likes this guy. Mm-hmm. I heard him at the podium. He's talking about him on the practice field. He's like, I don't know if I love those gold cleats so much when he came on the practice field. But I think Nick Marsh, as long as he's healthy, if you put up those numbers at Michigan State in the Indiana offense with Josh Hoover as his quarterback, I think he's going to do a very good job this year.
I'm going a little off the radar with this one, but Coy Parrish going from Minnesota to Oregon, I think is an underrated dude. Like, he was so cold at Minnesota. They didn't have much going for them, but when you turned on the tape, he was making a play, whether it was returning kicks, he could return punts, he could return kickoffs, he could do receiver, he could play defense. He is just like a Swiss Army knife, dude. And when he goes to Oregon, I think he's the perfect player for Dan Lanning to just kind of move around the field. I'm really interested to see how they use him. He's not like a Travis Hunter style or level when it comes to two-way player by any means, but he's a guy that he could make some plays all over the field. And I think when you put him in that Oregon scheme, he's going to be a fascinating player to watch this season.
Okay. Entertain me here as we go to the ACC. Okay. Justice Haynes last year for Michigan. Before he got hurt, he played in 7 games. In 7 games, how many rushing yards do you think Justice Haynes had a year ago?
7 games, probably about 585.
857.
Whew. Okay.
How many rushing touchdowns, do you think Justice Haynes had last year in 7 games?
Now I'm going to go high on this, but I would say about 8.
10.
10.
Justice Haynes was as good of a running back as there was in college football last year in a 7-game sample size. He was phenomenal at Michigan. It's actually a shame he didn't come back for another year at Michigan, but he now goes to Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech, I think the way that their coach, Key, likes to play football, a big back like Justice Haynes, he could be one of the best players in the country. Now, he probably won't get the shine because of the school, but if he's healthy, this dude last year in a 7-game stretch was as good of a running back as I saw in college football. And you know what I mean by that? Because Jeremiah Love was my favorite player in college football from a year ago. But I think a lot of people didn't realize, because of the injury and when it happened, how great Justice Haynes was last year for the Michigan Wolverines in a 7-game stretch.
I'm going to stick with running backs too. I'm going to go Trey Wisner going from Texas to Florida State. This was one where I was not expecting him to hit the portal at all. I thought he was going to stay in Texas. Now, his numbers dipped last year significantly than the year prior, which was weird because he got more playing time with the injuries in that backfield. But Mike Norvell has got to win. And when you're already relying on Ashton Daniels is going to be your quarterback, that's very sketchy in that situation. You got 7 returning players from last year. But watching Trey Wisner get into this offense, I think is going to be fascinating. And if they can block for him, he's so explosive. And kind of like what I was talking about with Coy, you could put him in the kick return game, and he could be a demon in that aspect as well. And he made some plays tackling on kick returns when they came to Baylor. So he's not afraid to go down and bust some heads either. But I'm really intrigued to watch Trey Wisner for the Seminoles.
Last year they were 5-7. Does Florida State do better than 5-7 this year?
Man, dude, no.
I'll give you their schedule.
Yeah, please do.
New Mexico State win.
Okay.
SMU, right now I would take the Mustangs. At Alabama,
loss.
I think Alabama will get revenge. So 1-2 to start the season. Central Arkansas, that's a win.
That's a win.
Virginia?
I don't know, dude.
I feel like they take a step back this year.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
I'm going to say that's a win. At Louisville, that's a loss. At Miami, that's a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson.
Man,
I'll give the benefit of the doubt to Dabo.
Yeah.
At Boston College, all right, that's a win.
That's a win.
At Pitt, I'd probably say a loss.
That's a win.
Oh, you think that's a win?
I think they can go into Pitt and win.
Okay. NC State?
No, you know what? I don't think they beat NC State.
Florida.
Probably. No, you know what? No. I'm taking the better head coach, John Summerall. No,
Okay.
they're not beating Florida.
So then you're at 4 wins.
Yeah, I don't.
I can't, like, even if I disagree with one of them.
There's not much room for error, dude.
At best, they're 6-6.
At best, yeah.
And so that's problematic.
So wild.
Darian Mensah. That to me is the best transfer quarterback. And he's better than Carson Beck. You got Fletcher, you got Tony. That's a quarterback. Tulane, Duke, all he's done has played really well. I think that dude's going to be a star this year. I would not surprise me. If he wins the Heisman Trophy, I wouldn't be surprised for 1 iota of a second.
No, I wouldn't either. And to me, he's an upgrade from what they had last year. We've discussed that plenty of times. But I'm going to stick with the quarterback, and I'm going Bo Pribula at Virginia, dude. Like, I think that's a really big pickup for Tony Elliott and them. They will take a step back. I'm not expecting them to play in the ACC championship game or anything, but they bring back 3 offensive linemen. They should have solid pieces up front. They can put some playmakers around him, but Pribula will put up some ridiculous numbers.
He's got to stay healthy, though.
He's got to stay healthy. And I know last year he had a lot of interceptions. I think it was like 11-9 on his touchdown to interception ratio, so he's got to cut that down. But the expectations aren't the same as they were for Mizzou playing at Virginia, and I think he has a nice bounce-back season this year for the Cavs.
All righty, SEC, Cam Coleman at Texas. Last year, he had 56 receptions, 708 yards, and 5 touchdowns at Auburn. And we know the Auburn offense had problems, and they were just never able to find their quarterback in that disastrous era with Hugh Freeze there. And I think I said error, but I meant era, but probably interchangeable.
It was an error hiring.
Yeah. But I think Cam Coleman's going to have a big year for Texas. And a lot of people think this guy could be a top 5, top 10 draft pick. You know, you could have 2 wide receivers go in the top 5 of the draft in Jeremiah Smith, and then a lot of people are in love with Cam Coleman too.
I'm going to go running back, and this one is maybe I'm just too close to this situation, but I'm really fascinated in Bryson Washington going to Auburn. I felt bad for the kid last year.
He was good at Baylor.
He was good, dude, but he was asked to do everything for them last year.
Kind of like you here at Rogue Media. They ask you to do everything.
A little bit. But, dude, I really think he could bounce back. I'm fascinated to see with him and Byron Brown in the backfield together, can you work some option scenarios out there? But I think he can be something special at Auburn and give them a little juice that they need. But I'm intrigued by what he can do for the War Eagle.
Tomorrow, Will Stein's going to join us on the show, the new head football coach at Kentucky, and obviously was the OC at Oregon last year. His quarterback is Kenny Minchey.
Yeah, almost with Kenny.
And Kenny Minchey, for a week in the summer last year, when Notre Dame didn't name C.J. Carr the starting quarterback yet, a lot of people were like, oh, Kenny Minchey has narrowed the gap and he may win the job. He was pushing to win the job. And they ultimately went with C.J. Carr, and it was the right decision. So Minchey, it was basically sealed, signed, delivered. He was going to Nebraska, and then Will Stein got him to end up going to Kentucky. I have a lot of intrigue in this player because if you almost beat out C.J. Carr last year, how legitimate was that, right? People say that, but how legitimate was that? And I think it was. And now you have a controversial portal decision, and you go to Kentucky's tough.
Yeah.
Stoops was underappreciated at the end, and I get it. It was time to move on. That guy had 2 10-win seasons at Kentucky.
Yes.
He had John Calipari having to apologize for calling Kentucky a frickin' basketball school. Kentucky's a basketball school. But that showed you how good of a job Stoops did there. And the whole A&M thing, he was qualified to get the A&M job. Yeah. I know the fans vehemently opposed it. And, hey, it's worked out for them with Mike Elko.
Yes, it has.
But Stoops would not have been a bad hire. But there's always an expiration date at Kentucky. And it was only a matter of time before that started to swing in a different direction. So with Will Stein's offensive mind and offensive prowess, and you bring in a quarterback like Minchey, who is a physical specimen and he's an athletic freak, I'm just curious how that match is going to be, because I don't know if there is a ton of hype nationally around Minchey, but people that follow college football, that's an intriguing one to me because you've heard about him now for a bit.
Yes.
And now I just want to see what he's going to play and look like.
Mine's going to be Parker Livingstone going to Oklahoma. This is one where Oklahoma's offense has been
Texas,
missing
right?
playmakers. Yeah, he's from Austin Westlake.
No, but he played at Texas.
Well, he was
last year.
at Texas. Yeah, he was Arch Manning's roommate. So Arch was pretty upset about that move with him going to Oklahoma. But I'm really fascinated to see what they could do and put him with Isaiah Satania in that offense. And you give
John Mateer.
Yeah, some another weapon to play with. I think that's a really good addition and a under the radar addition for Oklahoma.
Yeah, Mateer's got to stay healthy this year.
He does have to stay healthy.
That's actually a team that I'm interested to see what they do in Oklahoma, because Venables had the breakout season last year, but we've seen Venables have a solid season before at Oklahoma, and then it was followed up with disaster. Mm-hmm. I'm curious how that team responds, and I know that he was banged up, and he just never recovered in John Mateer. Can you get a full – it kind of reminds me of Baker Mayfield at the end in Cleveland, where he suffered the injury, but then people are like, is it just not because he was a good quarterback? I just wonder, is he really not that good, or was it more so the injury last year? But Mateer, to me, can he be a good college quarterback? Yes, but I still have a tough time deciphering what he is from what I was told he was going to be.
Well, to me, it's kind of this is him. Like when he hits, he's really good, but he tries to make a lot of things happen. Very similar. But I also think he was asked to do too much last year because Jaden Ott never developed at the running back position and never gave them the help from a rushing attack. And then there was really no weapons on the outside, so he was trying to force some things. Now that they have more help around him, I think you could see Mateer take a step in the right direction. He's not going to be like an elite quarterback. He's not going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, but I think he can be a really solid quarterback. And you're right. I mean, he's a prototypical college dude. But I think with the playmakers around him this season, he can actually pop and give Oklahoma some reason of bringing him in.
And isn't that funny how that works? If I would have told you before the start of last season, Oklahoma would have made the college football playoff, every Sooner fan would have signed
I wouldn't have believed you.
But every Sooner fan would have signed
hell yeah, they would have signed up.
And I look back at last season, do we view it as this wild success because they blew that lead to Alabama, who they already beat another year in the regular season, and they were up big, double digits, I think it was 17, and then you lose the game, and it's like, I don't want to just chalk it up to, hey, it's one game and that defines your season. But in that case with Oklahoma, in a year that was more good than bad and one that was like a major swing season for Venables, I'm like, yeah, it was good, but with how it ended, are they going to revert back to being what we thought they kind of were before last season?
No, that's a good point. I'm interested to see, if they don't have sustained success, what does this season look like for the future of Brent Venables as a head coach? That's what I'm fascinated.
How much better can you do than Venables, though, is my question.
I think you could do better than Venables. I think he's a better defensive coordinator than a head coach. And if given the opportunity, I think there's a lot of these young coaches. Like you're telling me
still Oklahoma.
Brian Hartline couldn't go and have success at USF this year and then be like the perfect fit at Oklahoma. I think he could.
Yeah, no, it would like, hey, if Florida, with how in flux that job has been, and Oklahoma's had a better recent history than Florida, if Florida could get Summerall, who's one of the hottest names on the market, then yeah, Oklahoma could probably attract a big name coach. But Venables was thought to be a lock, and he was just waiting to leave Dabo, and then his connection with Oklahoma, he takes that job. But I thought that guy was just going to be a really damn good coach, and he's been a roller coaster. There's been some highs, but there's been a lot of lows.
There's been a lot of lows.
And last year you thought you had a high, but then when you got to the top, they did the flip the roller coaster upside down, and now you just don't know which direction that roller coaster is going in.
Nope.
Yeah, I really haven't thought much about – it's weird. For a program that is that big, Oklahoma, they kind of have lost their national luster.
Well, I kept saying this when they were making the move. I felt like they were going to become Ole Miss. They were going to be a team that is good. They're going to be relevant at times, but they weren't going to be, and they've proven to be better than that. Well, I guess if they're kind of on par with Lane's Ole Miss, but I think they're better than Ole Miss they are better than Ole Miss as a whole. But I feel like that's kind of the path that.
Well, yeah. Which job would I rather have, Oklahoma or Ole Miss? I'd rather have Oklahoma, but Ole Miss the last 2 seasons been the better program.
Exactly.
Oklahoma schedule. Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've gotten violated.
UTEP easy, then at Michigan, New Mexico, at Georgia, Texas. Those are the first 5 games. So they'll beat UTEP and New Mexico. Can they take 2 out of 3 from Michigan, Georgia, and Texas? Probably not.
No, I think they get 1. And honestly, it's probably Michigan that they would. I feel more comfortable in them beating Michigan than I do them beating Texas or beating Georgia.
Yeah, and anything can happen in Red River, though.
Yeah.
Then they play Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Florida, Ole Miss, A&M. Ole Miss, A&M back-to-back weeks is tough.
Yeah.
And then they are at Missouri.
And that would be interesting.
Yeah. What's up with your camera today?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out why this thing.
Your
moves.
audio, it's only 2 times. It's gone in and out. It hasn't been anything major, but there's a few times that you sound like a robot where you'd be talking that I'll just hear like, and I'm like,
who knows?
Yeah. You know what I also just realized today?
What's that?
I've been on Wi-Fi this whole time. Have I been good?
You've been good. There was one time a while ago where you froze up.
Did I?
But it was just once.
It's fine because I have my Ethernet cable plugged in.
Yeah.
Now let's see something here. If I disconnect, then that's, we'll just go right to a break.
I'm just going to break.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, yeah. So now I'm on Ethernet. We only got 10 more minutes left in the show. We'll take a break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports.
What I love most about playing basketball is the competition. I really just like being shifty, mastering hesitation moves, changing direction, building chemistry with new teammates. If you're not having fun while you're playing, it's no point in playing the game. You know what to do. Escape Basic. Pair of Thieves quick dry underwear. It wicks away sweat and helps keep you dry. You looking forward to fishing season?
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
I'm here to work out with you.
We did not put this little cookie cutter program together.
I'm in there with you, sweating, yelling, doing the damn thing.
Transformed by Core Home Fitness.
A secret, I travel internationally every year. I struggle with insomnia both at home and especially in hotels. This was life-changing. It's called Fly Kit. My favorite aspect of the Fly Kit is it tells you when to sleep.
Dude, check out this robe. This is the dude robe. It's perfect for after the shower, gym, or even the beach. This thing is awesome. It also has this super premium towel lining to dry you off right away. Dude, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a dude robe today.
At Dreamy, we believe that life can be upgraded in comfort, convenience, and joy. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
I'm curious where you fall on this one, Garrett. So I actually saw some of the stars going to the Met Gala yesterday. I was walking the Upper East Side, and I had to drop something off. And when I was walking to the destination on I think it was 70th and York, I see all these people out with their cell phones. And I see all these people leaving their hotel in these crazy dresses and whatever. And I'm like, oh, tonight's the Met Gala. And Timothy Chalamet, there was, is he going to show up? Is Timothy Chalamet going to show? By the way, Kylie Jenner, who I think is one of the most beautiful women to ever walk the planet, she looked horrible. Horrible last night at the Met Gala. I saw her at the Knicks game. And I could barely even breathe. She was breathtaking gorgeous. And then to see what she looked like at the Met Gala, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
That's the same person? So Chalamet went to the Knicks game last night and avoided the Met Gala. Ben Stiller went to the Met Gala, and he's getting slammed on social media. Let me just say this. Leave Ben Stiller alone. Oh, my God. How many people are just fake macho man and are out of touch with reality? And I get it. When I was in my early 20s, I would say, oh, I don't miss anything. I never miss a sporting event. I don't care if it's a birthday, a wedding, a funeral. Nothing would make me miss watching an NFL game, right, for my team. It was game 1 of the second round of the NBA playoffs. So Ben Stiller is at the Met Gala instead of sitting courtside at MSG. And this is a big deal. Like, this is the end of the world. Fake outrage. Oh, he's not a real fan. Oh, he's a fraud. Oh, he's a phony. It's the Met Gala. Say what you want about the event. It's not as if he went out just for dinner that night, at Fort Charles, which is a great restaurant in the city. He was going to the Met Gala. So he misses one Knicks home playoff game in the first round where the game was over at halftime. And this guy's getting shredded by all these goofballs on social media. Give me a break. And most of you that are shredding him, if your wife was like, hey, you have to go to the Met Gala instead of the Knicks game, you know you have no power in that situation. Like, sometimes there are events in life that happen where you need to miss a sporting event. No one likes it. We all like to puff our chest out and pretend that we're macho man, and we tell everyone what we get to go to, and that's it, that's final. Nothing gets in front of sports. But give me an effing break that Ben Stiller is getting slammed for going to the Met Gala over the Knicks' second round game 1 in a game that was over by halftime. Like, everyone settled down a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen some brief outrage on that nonsense. I couldn't care less, honestly. And like, dude, if it was a game 7 or if it was he's there. It does it's a one-off. Who gives a damn if he's doing something else? He's going to be at the rest of them. Like, it's not a story.
So Joel Embiid was pouting last night. Now,
no way.
Yeah. So, no way. Joel Embiid had appendicitis. Like, I'm not downplaying that. But he set a screen last night, and Mikal Bridges ran into him. And then he said he was hurt. Okay, fine. He got ran into. He just had appendicitis not that long ago. But Joel Embiid after the game, he goes, I don't know if it was dirty or not. Like, Joel Embiid, the last time these two teams played in the postseason, you grabbed Mitch Robinson while you were lying on the floor by the ankles and took him out. So, you don't want to get hit there. Don't go set a screen.
Exactly.
Like, it's not vicious, malicious contact by Mikal Bridges last night. But here was Joel Embiid after the game. By the way, a game where the Knicks beat the Sixers by 40.
Looked like there was a moment when you kind of grabbed at your stomach. Just what happened on that moment?
I got hit on it. I don't know if it was, obviously based on what's been going on. I guess I got to protect him also. I don't know if it was dirty or not. So, yeah, I guess I got to do a better job of protecting my, especially that part.
Do you remember what play that happened? Was it a screen at some point? Or?
Yeah, it was off the screen. I don't think that was necessary because screen, Tyrese was already gone and it was kind of like, after the play. I just felt like it wasn't necessary, but we move on. It's whatever, it's playoff basketball. So, if that's the reality of it, I guess we got to go out and be physical too and do it too.
It's playoff basketball. It was unnecessary, but I guess you got to move on. The bitching from Joel Embiid there is crazy. I don't know if it was a dirty play or not. It's not. You set a screen. There's contact. You got hit. Not a dirty play. What was a dirty play was you taking out Mitch Robinson 2 years ago. That was dirty. And then you complain and pout for a minute, and then you go, oh, yeah, but you just got to move on. I can't wait to see what happens on Wednesday. This series is not over. I do think the Knicks are the better team. I think the Knicks should win this series in 6 games. But Wednesday night's going to tell you a lot about what you need to know about the heart of the Sixers team and also the killer instinct of the Knicks, because the Knicks, after going down 2-1 to Atlanta, they had dominant efforts in game 4, 5, and 6 up against the Hawks. That series was over, and you didn't even need to break a sweat as that game was over right at halftime when it was like a 22-point lead or whatever it was at half when Jalen Brunson hit that 3 right as the half did come to a close. But that was a dominant game 1 performance. And how about the Timberwolves also last night taking care of the Spurs? So that's 1-0. Nice to see Anthony Edwards back, and we'll have the other 2 series tip off tonight with the Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then you will get the Detroit Pistons going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know what I'm doing tonight, Garrett?
What are you doing?
I'm wearing a Stevie Van Zandt, Bruce Springsteen, and Clarence Clemens shirt. Clarence is unfortunately no longer alive. But I'm going to go to UBS, which is where the Islanders play. So a little train ride out on Long Island. Leave the city in a bit. And I'm going to go see Bruce Springsteen and the legendary E Street Band, who
Tonight?
I've seen Bruce at least 20 times. I loved going as a kid with my dad, and we would always go to shows together. And through the years, we've just gone to more and more shows. So I'm seeing him tonight at UBS. And then next week, I think he's back at MSG on Saturday. And I have tickets. Now, the set list for this tour has been similar. So I think it's going to be identical shows. But I've seen Bruce in Pittsburgh. I've seen him in Philly, New Jersey, out on Long Island. And I've traveled to a few other destinations, Baltimore. So I've seen Bruce a lot, but I've never seen him at Madison Square Garden. So I got 4 tickets at UBS tonight, right behind the stage. And I like seeing Bruce behind the stage because he works the whole crowd. And it's a cheaper ticket. But we're in the 200 section behind the stage, 4 people, piggyback seats, first and second row. So tremendous. And I sat in this section last time. There's like a little black curtain in front of the section. And I don't know why. So it's almost like you have this private section. There's only 8 to 10 rows. So that's cool. And then at Madison Square Garden, a friend of mine bought 4 tickets and invited me. So I don't know where we are for that show. But looking forward to it. To go a little bit of concert tonight. And then we got Will Stein tomorrow on the show. So we'll be sure that we're fine. Oh, by the way, I meant to say this. Al Cintron, who does a show on WFAN in New York. I like Al. He's a good guy. He was told from a source that the Mets reach out to Dusty Baker to be their manager, and that Dusty Baker ended up saying that he wasn't going to take the job because the Mets wanted him to not be able to pick his staff. That was a report from Al Cintron.
Right.
I talked to someone today. The minute I saw this story, I texted someone that I knew that I know is very close to Dusty Baker. Dusty, then, that person that I knew reached out to Dusty on my behalf. I was trying to get him on the show, but he just couldn't come on right now. I guess Dusty has a book coming on out, so they want to wait a little bit later for him to do interviews. Yeah. But I said, can you, on my behalf, ask about the Mets? Dusty has vehemently denied this report. And my buddy that I know said he received 2 phone calls, a text back denying it, and then a phone call back where Dusty's like, yeah, that's not true. That never happened. So from what I understand, or at least through Dusty Baker,
right,
from this person that I know that is very close to Dusty Baker, Dusty has vehemently denied it. When that person reached out to Dusty, Dusty's initial response when he asked, is this true? He was like, hell no. So that is from Dusty Baker, at least. I figured I put that on my Twitter page at Zach Gelb, but figure I would bring it up on the show as well because it's a different audience. So Twitter at Zach Gelb, Instagram at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB, TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show, YouTube.com/@365SportsYT. Make sure you subscribe. We will talk to you tomorrow right at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. Appreciate you tuning on in. This is Zach Gelb Show. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.